Yeah. So here we go. I've just got a track where I'm using entirely Apple loops to make some music. It needs to be mastered. Now, I'm not a mastering engineer, but I do master my own music a lot of the time. So let's do that now. And I just feel like the overall thing could just be fatter. Quite a lot going on, so it might just need to have a little bit of control. So first off, I'm just going to load up an EQ. And I'm going to load up Pro EQ3, which is a good one because I like the spectral analysis of it. Obviously, use your ears, but this is very useful. Look at that, it's so even. Use a Pro EQ3 for notching and doing surgical EQ. I can't really see anything in there that needs to be really tackled, if you like. So for now, I'm not going to do anything with that. I am going to try a clipper. I feel like maybe some clipping would actually do a better job of making this louder than a limiter. So there is a full version of this called Standard Clip, which is on my shopping list. Free clip, still pretty good. There you go, that's doing quite a lot. It's adding a lot of density and loudness without increasing the output volume. We like that. I'm going to leave that where it was. Saturation. Always like to run things through saturation to see what happens, see whether it improves it. I've got a bunch of different saturators. One saturator that I like that's more dramatic, I find, is the HG2. It can be more dramatic. It can also be subtle. And only small amounts of this can really make a big difference. So let's bring that in. Harmonics are being added. Makes it seem louder. These two knobs here, pentode and triode, if you push them like a lot at your hearing, that's into proper crazy saturated territory. But at small amounts, and then bring the output down. If I turn the saturator off, -4, so it's giving us body, harmonic distortion, and volume. If you want to kind of like gain match this, that's a healthy behavior to get into, so you can hear whether you just like it better because it's louder. So that's pretty much gain matched. 4.2 without it. I like the fatness it's adding, and I'm going to leave those settings in place. And I've got it set to flat, so it's saturating across the whole frequency range. Some mid-side EQ might be needed because there's low-end stuff happening out on the left and right. Around this sort of range, I'm going to solo it, and I'm going to go to stereo placement, side. And you need headphones for this, really. But this is soloing the side low end. So I can hear that synthesizer, the synth bass, has got some stereo stuff going on in it. I could either go back to the mix and make that mono, or I could mono the bass. Quickest way I've got of doing that is actually using the third plugin, which is my secret weapon, the Amec Mastering Compressor. Very clever plugin, no time to really explain it. Right, so all I've got to do is bring this threshold down. Start hearing the magic. But the one thing I wanted to show you before is like this mono maker, bottom left here. This control takes the low frequencies that are in stereo and makes them mono below a certain frequency. It's about 90-ish, like 100. And I'm going to sidechain the compression on this as well. So the compression isn't happening, it's not being triggered by the low end. The low end can remain intact. And then so we're now getting very close to digital clipping, which we don't want. So I'm going to get the output of this plugin and actually reduce it down. If I turn this off, just brings some kind of extra depth and life and width and space and all the good stuff to this. Now, often when I'm doing a bit of mastering, I will actually use the Oxford Inflator by Sonox as well. Sometimes not in combination with other saturators because it can be going too far with the pushing of things. But since we're here, I think what I'll do is I'll turn off the black box saturator and I'll introduce this so you can kind of hear it. I don't actually know what's going on inside the Oxford Inflator. Now, that's sounding pretty epic. I'm going to try something that I don't normally do, but I actually do this normally at the pre-master stage. And I'm going to parallel compress the whole mix. Just realised the metronome's been on the whole time. The other option I've got for a parallel compressor actually is Pro C2, which I really like because actually it's got a side chain for the low end. Turn that on. Massive amounts of compression happen. That's what we want because we're going to blend that in. Clipper's going mental. Clipper's going less mental now. That's sounding really alive. One little change I'm going to make is with the channel strip EQ. This is actually a Neve channel strip. I like the top end. I'm going to just take off a little bit. That's boosting it. This kind of vibe, this music, I don't want to brighten up all the top end. I want it to be a warmer sound, a rounder sound. Just in case any of those sample sounds I've used have got those high peaks, which I noticed on the EQ earlier that there was some like little high peaks popping out. I'm just going to roll off like 3 dB of 16,000 hertz, which is really, it's not that significant, but it's going to be just taming that top end, just stop it being too bright. I like this sort of the moderate low end on this. It's there, it's controlled, not too subby, and I think that contributes to the musical vibe of it. And parallel compression is just extra density and energy. So if you're working with energetic music, always look at parallel compression. Actually doing it at this point of the process is quite rare for me. I always do parallel compression in the mix if it's relevant, and I'll make it sound big across all of those different instrument groups. So actually this was kind of a last minute little thought I had, but to me it sounds a little bit more in that realm of squashed, which I was mentioned at the beginning. I actually wanted this to sound like it had been squashed a bit, and it's bringing out that vocal. So quickly what I'm going to do is bounce this out and then re-import the file, sorry, so you can see like what it looks like. It probably looked ridiculous, like a big sausage. So importing that back in the session, there we go. Top one is the pre-mastered one, bottom one is the mastered one. It's not that sausagey, and we can hear the difference. First one peaking at minus 4-ish dB, let's get to the loud bit. And then the mastered one. We can look at the loudness. There we go. So minus 10 integrated LUFS. So yeah, I'm happy with that master. I've noticed a couple of things I might go back and change in the mix actually. I'm going to do a little bit of a side chain with the bass and the kick drum because I can feel that it needs a bit more of a punchy kick drum. Maybe use track spacer so that the bass track, that synthesizer bass, will duck when the kick drum hits. Right now that's not happening. Yeah, and for the purposes of this track, I think I'm happy with that master. It has a certain rawness. Let me know what you think. I don't do mastering that commonly. I have done it for people, and I would be happy to do it for people. But I would always preface that with saying, this isn't my specialisation. Cool. Hope you enjoyed. Take it easy.